You want to be funny? We tell you to get on the street. Go on the street.
All right, I'm getting out.
Who the you think you are, bro?
I'm getting out the street.
No, you're not.
Get in there. Trying to be funny.
Bro, I'm trying to be funny, dog.
Okay, come.
Want to play games?
Yeah, I was trying
I was trying to help him out. He was gonna go straight over.
we all should have been very nice. Make an exception for him.
It looks like Jacqueline Doherty is back in the spotlight again, and the latest situation has people talking all over the internet. Many viewers remember the previous controversy, where he was reportedly given a permanent ban from PGA events after live streaming actions that drew major criticism. According to reports, the issue wasn't just about allegedly trying to get into tournament areas he wasn't supposed to access. There were also claims that he offered money to anyone willing to interrupt play by shouting during a golfer's backswing, which sparked a lot of backlash online. After all of that, critics say he repeatedly framed himself as the victim instead of addressing the concerns directly. Then, in a move that had social media buzzing, he eventually spoke with the tournament director, but only after he was standing behind security personnel, a detail that quickly became part of the conversation. After that controversy, both professional golfers and plenty of people online were openly criticizing Jack, with many calling his behavior embarrassing and saying his public reputation was taking another major hit. The negative reactions kept piling up, yet he continued chasing attention through clips, viral moments, and increasingly extreme situations on his live streams in an effort to stay in the spotlight. Beyond the criticism surrounding his promotion of online gambling content, one of the biggest stories connected to him recently came from body camera footage tied to his arrest last November. The footage gave viewers a much closer look at what happened that night and quickly became a huge topic of discussion across social media. For many critics, the video reinforced a growing concern that Jack constantly pushes situations further than necessary in pursuit of content and attention. They argue that this pattern could eventually lead to serious consequences if it continues unchecked. Thanks to footage released by the channel Code Blue Cam, people were able to see a more complete version of the events and judge the situation for themselves. The incident reportedly began around 3:00 inches the morning on a cold night last November. As some viewers may remember, Jack was filming gambling-related content in the middle of a roadway, and when officers instructed him to move out of the street, he allegedly refused, seemingly determined to finish one more bet before leaving. According to reports, officers eventually detained him and allegedly discovered pre-rolled joints along with an ecstasy pill during the arrest process. Those details quickly became a major talking point once the footage and reports started circulating online. Many viewers were stunned by the situation, especially because it appeared to involve someone focusing more on an online audience than the instructions being given by police officers in the middle of the night. Critics questioned the decision-making on display, arguing that most people would prioritize cooperating with law enforcement rather than waiting on the outcome of an online wager or live stream interaction. Another pattern that viewers say shows up throughout the footage is Jack's apparent focus on recording content and keeping track of his valuables instead of immediately addressing the situation at hand.
No.
I got him.
Hey, yo, you don't want to go neither. Back up.
I'm just saying I got him.
Back up. Don't worry about it.
For critics, it fit into a larger image they already had of someone who places a high value on status symbols, attention, and internet clout above almost everything else. One moment that really caught viewers' attention was when the bodyguard reportedly asked the officers, "Yo, is this a timeout situation?" The comment immediately stood out to people online because it made the situation sound far less serious than it actually was, and many viewers couldn't believe that was the response in the middle of a police encounter. For critics, that moment highlighted what they see as a larger issue surrounding Jack and the people in his circle. They argue that some of those around him seem more focused on internet attention, business opportunities, and content creation than on helping him avoid trouble and make smarter decisions when situations start escalating. Some viewers also pointed out that the bodyguard appeared highly involved in online gambling promotions himself, which only added to the criticism and speculation surrounding the group. To many observers, it raised questions about whether anyone in Jack's camp was actually encouraging better judgment behind the scenes. Even so, the officers appeared willing to handle the situation calmly at first. But according to critics watching the footage, that opportunity didn't last very long before things reportedly became more complicated. After that, officers began transporting him to the station. During the ride, Jack reportedly asked how long it would take before he could get out. At one point, the officers made what they referred to as a pit stop, and many viewers felt that he still didn't seem to grasp the seriousness of the situation unfolding around him. Watching the footage, some critics came away with the impression that Jack was already thinking about how the incident could be turned into content for his audience rather than focusing on the legal situation itself. They argued that he appeared more concerned with the entertainment value and attention the event might generate online than with the consequences he was facing. A common criticism from viewers was that he often seems to treat real-life situations as opportunities for engagement, clicks, and reactions. Whether fair or not, that perception became a major part of the conversation surrounding the footage after it was released. Up to this point, many people felt the officers were being fairly patient and professional throughout the interaction. The atmosphere appeared relatively calm, there was some light conversation, and they even allowed him to contact a friend regarding his jewelry and personal belongings. In the footage, officers are even heard calling him Bossman Jack while offering what many people viewed as simple, practical advice. Their point seemed straightforward. A lot of the trouble could have been avoided if the situation hadn't escalated in the first place. For many viewers, it was a moment that showed officers attempting to keep the interaction calm and constructive. Critics argue that a recurring pattern in these situations is Jack trying to explain away or justify behavior that others see as self-inflicted problems. They point to previous controversies as examples of what they believe is a tendency to shift focus away from his own decisions rather than fully acknowledging them. Many viewers also noted that the officers appeared to be accommodating throughout parts of the process. According to the footage, they allowed certain requests regarding his personal belongings and gave him opportunities that some observers felt went beyond the minimum required level of cooperation. However, the situation reportedly became more tense when he attempted to record parts of the interaction. Critics claim that this decision, along with disputed statements about what was happening, added another layer of conflict to an encounter that had previously remained relatively calm and controlled. This was the point where the tone of the interaction appeared to change. According to the footage, officers stopped being as relaxed as they had been earlier, turned him around, conducted a quick search, and made it clear that the situation was serious and not something to joke about. Many viewers felt this was the moment when law enforcement shifted from being highly accommodating to enforcing stricter procedures. For critics watching the footage, the change wasn't surprising.
Want to play games?
Yeah, I was trying
I was trying to help him out. He was gonna go straight over.
Will should have been very nice. Make an exception for him.
They argue that several opportunities had already been given for the situation to remain calm and straightforward, yet the tension continued to build. To them, it looked like another example of someone pushing boundaries long after most people would have stopped. One of the biggest frustrations expressed by viewers was the belief that Jack kept making matters worse, even when he appeared to be receiving a level of patience and flexibility from officers. That perception became a major topic of discussion once the footage spread online. Adding to the controversy, Jack later shared videos connected to the incident and reportedly boasted that officers were unaware he had been recording. Those posts sparked even more debate and criticism across social media platforms. At one point in the footage, when the reality of the situation seemed to fully sink in, Jack appeared far less confident than he had earlier. Viewers noticed a dramatic shift in his attitude, and many pointed out how different his behavior looked compared to the way he later described the experience online. That contrast became a major talking point, After his release, he reportedly made comments such as, "Oh, I ran that jail. I was stealing everyone's milk money." Critics were quick to compare those claims with the body camera footage, arguing that the two versions of events painted very different pictures of what actually happened. Another moment that caught attention involved a friend arriving and reportedly asking officers if he could take possession of certain items. According to the footage, the request was denied, and officers made it clear they were following their own procedures regarding personal property and evidence handling. For many viewers, scenes like these only added to the growing debate surrounding the incident and the stories that followed afterward. Since all of this happened, many critics feel that Jack has continued trying to squeeze attention out of the controversy instead of moving past it. Viewers have pointed to various videos and posts where he appeared to lean into the situation, including content that some people interpreted as joking about community service requirements and other legal consequences. Some critics also accused him of exaggerating parts of his circumstances for content, claiming that he was trying to turn every development into another viral moment. Whether it was for views, engagement, or headlines, many felt the strategy was becoming increasingly predictable. A lot of the criticism has also been directed toward the companies and sponsors that continue supporting him despite the ongoing controversies. Critics argue that while some of his videos generate attention through shocking stunts and drama, his overall audience engagement often appears far weaker than the headlines might suggest. His comment sections are frequently filled with mockery, criticism, and people questioning his decisions. Meanwhile, Jack has introduced a new girlfriend into his content, and many viewers believe he's following the same formula that critics say they've seen before. From flashy purchases and luxury brand flexing to putting his personal relationships front and center for attention, observers argue that he's sticking to a familiar playbook that continues to spark reactions across social media. Some critics have even accused Jack of recycling old storylines for attention, pointing to what they describe as another publicity-focused proposal. Many viewers remember his previous, highly publicized relationship, including a marriage-related stunt that generated plenty of headlines and debate online. Since then, his former partner has publicly made serious allegations about their relationship, claims that have become part of the ongoing discussion surrounding his past controversies. Others believe the roots of Jack's behavior go back much further. Critics often point to the involvement of family members who have appeared in videos and skits over the years, arguing that the people closest to him have sometimes seemed supportive of actions that many viewers consider reckless or self-destructive. This has fueled a larger debate about accountability and influence behind the scenes. Some longtime internet followers also bring up his appearance on Dr. Phil, a moment that remains widely remembered online and is frequently referenced whenever discussions about his history resurface.
You play the victim and say, I'm getting picked on here, but you don't mind
but
picking on other people. But I was trying my best and everyone was just picking on me for like everything I do, you know? And he does this in front of you and you don't do anything about it. I'm on, well, what the hell?
For many observers, that appearance offered an early glimpse into patterns of behavior that critics say are still visible today. At the end of the day, Jack often presents himself as a major entrepreneur and larger-than-life personality. However, critics argue that much of his public image depends on controversy, viral moments, and the attention generated by online platforms and sponsorships. They believe his relevance rises and falls based on how much engagement those controversies continue to attract. And that's really what keeps so many people watching at this point. It isn't necessarily because they're huge fans, but because every few weeks there seems to be another controversy, another argument, or another over-the-top stunt that gets everyone talking again. Critics argue that the cycle has become incredibly predictable, with one headline fading out just as the next one starts gaining traction. The strange part is that Jack always seems to find himself right back in the middle of the same conversations. Whether it's live stream drama, public confrontations, or content that pushes boundaries for attention, many viewers feel like they're watching the exact same storyline play out with different details each time. That's why so many people online have started questioning whether the chaos is accidental or simply part of the brand. At the same time, critics say the biggest issue isn't any single incident by itself. Instead, they argue it's the repeated pattern of turning every setback, every controversy, and every public criticism into another piece of content. For better or worse, that approach has become one of the defining parts of his online reputation. What's even more surprising is that despite all the backlash, the criticism, and the endless stream of negative headlines, Jack keeps doubling down instead of changing course. Every time it looks like he might take a step away from the drama, another clip surfaces, another stunt appears, or another situation suddenly becomes the center of attention online. Many critics believe that the constant chase for views has created a cycle that's difficult for him to escape. The bigger the controversy, the more attention it gets, and the more attention it gets, the more incentive there is to keep pushing things further. That's why so many viewers feel like they're watching someone constantly trying to outdo the last headline, no matter how much criticism comes with it. At this stage, a lot of people aren't even shocked anymore when a new controversy appears. Instead, the reaction is often, "Here we go again." That's become part of the conversation surrounding Jack's content, with critics arguing that unpredictability and chaos have become his biggest trademarks online, attracting attention for all the wrong reasons. Overall, I have to admit that for many critics watching this situation unfold, seeing Jack finally face real consequences was one of the most talked about parts of the entire story. More than anything, they viewed it as an example of what can happen when someone repeatedly ignores warnings, pushes boundaries, and keeps turning serious situations into content for attention. What stands out to a lot of observers is that this incident may be part of a much bigger pattern. Critics argue that if Jack continues making the same decisions and surrounding himself with people who encourage the chaos instead of challenging it, the controversies are unlikely to stop anytime soon. That's why many viewers see this footage as more than just one bad night. It serves as another chapter in an ongoing cycle that has followed him for years. At the same time, many people question whether he will ever truly change course. Critics often point to the environment around him, arguing that fame, money, online attention, and the people benefiting from those things can make it difficult for anyone to step back and rethink their actions. But that's just one side of the discussion. What do you think about the body cam footage and everything that happened that night? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with others who might be interested. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.